All right, guys, it's Jahlon. And over the years, as you can see, I've talked about a lot of issues in video games, usually a topic about a game that sort of branches out into ideas that could work in a lot of different games. So, all of these videos are available on my channel. But today's topic is why there is no meaningful conversations about video games. Now, the other day I put out a video on is Starry Studios, the developer of Once Human, killing Once Human. And when I put out the video, in the video, I talk about two things specifically. I talk about their new Stellar Stairway, and I talk about their new blueprint transfers. And it's an op ed piece, it's an opinionated editorial, and I gave my opinions about why it killed progression. Now, some people gave really good feedback. We've started some really good discussions. But today I want to highlight some comments from people that just makes me wonder, as video gamers, do we even deserve a space anymore? Do we deserve good games? Because I don't think we're going to get any if we can't have good discussions. And most of the people filling up all of the airway are people that don't really seem like they want to have a conversation. So this individual says, really, progression keeps you playing. Yes. Ironically, progression keeps me playing video games. I either want to get better at the game or I want to make my character better, better gear, better armor, better stats, higher level. I mean, ultimately, if progression doesn't drive you, then you're probably playing MOBAs. But I've seen over the years that MOBAs, first person shooters, third person shooters, they all have little bits of progression. Some of it is as minor as progression in a battle pass. Some of it is like you get teeny tiny little advantages in your character, like better loadouts, better weapons, a few more rounds, different throwables, different consumables. So, yes, progression keeps me playing. The better question is, if it's not progression, what keeps you playing? But then, while devs made Chaos Weavers destroys bases and a bunch of wusses whine about it on a survival game. Now they made it easier for everyone still crying. What did Chaos Weavers have to do with this video? If Chaos Weavers were really your big concern about Once Human, I have a video where I talk about the flaws in Once Human, specifically Chaos Weavers. Now, not to beat a dead horse here, but Chaos Weavers were not balanced. They were immune to base defenses, or if not immune, base defenses simply could not do enough damage to them to be a deterrent. They had fixed spawn points. They could be exploited. They could be used to destroy bases. They weren't fun. The rewards weren't useful. They could be exploited to grind levels. They took 20 minutes of shooting at them, even with 10 or 20 people to kill them. Elemental damage, status damage really wasn't a big thing. Their weak spots were unreliable. And this isn't even a video about Chaos Weavers, and I'm able to 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 point. The other point is they were so bad, the developer said, yeah, let's fix those. But what do they have to do with this video? Also, when did feedback become whining? Are they good? No. Did people give feedback? Yes. This individual, Mexico 147, needs to realize nobody wants to have a conversation with you, right? Because the most toxic individuals will say there are no safe spaces on the internet. But the problem is your behavior is toxic. You are going to feel like you win discussions or win arguments because nobody wants to waste their time on you. It's not about gamers wanting to leave a Discord because they can't share an opinion or share an oppositional view. They can't advocate for a view they want. It's because you call them whiners, you act toxic. They're not asking for a safe space. They just don't want you in their space because you're a waste of time. One thing for sure, the game is now less grindy. When did grindy become a synonym for progression? Now, I think if we look back over the years, we have this flaw in games where the game doesn't start until end game. And I think that sucks. But the truth of the matter is the game fun with all max starred weapons? And if so, then why do we bother accumulating a Stresium now to get Starcrom? If the game being grindy, if progressing, if getting better gear, better weapons is always going to be discounted as a grind, then why don't the developers just give us the 6-starred weapons, the 5-star gear, and then we can just play? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear some contradictory opinions, but I think there is a certain, reward, a certain hit of dopamine when you're like, yes, I was able to upgrade my weapon. Now it's easier, or now I can do harder content. Prime Wars now take 2 minutes max. There's no risk of failure. I was stoked during season 1, back in would have been about August when we got the first Nightmare Prime Wars. It was the first time my server failed at something. What do we do? How do we get better? Coordinating with the original people on PvE 18, which was a unicorn server to begin with. Great people working out. This person's a really good builder, giving them steel. Let them try a new way to protect the goal point. People figuring out, okay, we need to put cannons over here. We need to engage these mini bosses, a few here to engage these mini bosses. Jay, get off the cannon. Your gun does a ton of damage. You need to be shooting the purple flowers. There was a risk of failure, and we did fail often. Now, like, hitting Manibus for 250,000 per shot, so 1.5 million damage in 6 rounds, that's not fun. The other part of this is the game is now less grindy, but you average about 200 controllers per mod upgrade. Now, if you aren't familiar with mods and how to do all your upgrades and what a nightmare the mod system is, there's a video up there. I'm not going to go deep dive into mods right now, but I explain mods. But guess what? That's progression. That's when you feel like, yes, my character is making positive progress because I finally got an upgrade. As someone who quit and returned, I did so because of the changes to Starcrum and Blueprints. I am disabled and the grind was too hard on me to maintain. There are times that I have to lay in bed because my pain is too much and I can't play. I would fall behind my peers, and I never finished the first 2 seasons of Manibus, and I only got a week in Way of Winter before I had to quit due to the fact that the game was just too much of a grind. While I respect your take, it just is impossible for everyone to dedicate a steady amount of time to one game. I respect that you're disabled. I'm disabled. Fall behind your peers. Why does this matter on a cooperative PvE server where you get most of your StarCrom rewards for everybody else working hard? Honest question. Fall behind your peers in a PvE server, or I'm sorry, in a PvP server, you're going to fall behind them because of mods, and you're going to have no chance. Because while you're busy trying to build up one mod set, they're going to have multiple mod sets, some for clearing PvE content, some specifically with like head damage reduction, weapon damage reduction, status damage reduction. So if you only were able to play a week of a server and a couple of weeks of another server, what falling behind are you worried about? And those are honest questions. Shitty game was always shitty. I don't understand why anyone would play this. It's goofy. Fair point if you want to have that view, but then why are you leaving comments on a YouTube video? I mean, you went out of your way to leave comments. Is your life that devoid and empty that you have to leave comments on a YouTube video? I mean, thanks for the comment. It helps my engagement. It helps my algorithm, but if you don't like the game, why is it living in your head rent-free? Equally so, as a day one player, I agree 100% with this. Sure, thank you. But why? I appreciate the comment, but, and I guess I 100% agree with this. I don't need to ask you why, because you just agree with everything, and that's cool. But again, support, but not meaningful. Like, I gotta have gotten something wrong in the video. Just know, the poor weapon and gear balance makes this new Asterium system and BP conversion mandatory, as does scenario-based gameplay. There is absolutely no content in this game that requires progression. Okay, so if there is no content in this game that requires progression, and you can clear all the content in 1-star gear, what's mandatory about the Asterism system and the BP conversion? And that's a serious question. I cleared Leia Labs, 3-manned it with people that, it was like, I was all 1-star, they were all 1-star, our other individual had a 2-star boom boom. So why is it mandatory? And again, serious question. I don't get it. I don't get people, and I don't get their toxic comments. Like, just know why. So Serial Crusher 2244, why is it mandatory if you can clear all the content in 1-star gear? Reset again. If reset I direct quit the game. Don't even bother if they refunded. It's a seasonal game. They have resets. Why are you spending money on a product you don't understand? And all that aside, what do resets have to do with the Stellar Stairway and the BP conversion system? Again, serious question. The system is not really good, as you said. Player doing less content. I also do not do the weekly cleaning thing to get Starcrom because I reached the limit of Asterium just by playing a bit silo and boss, and a little bit of hours. At the first day after the reset, which is absolutely true, took me 3 hours of just tooling around and I maxed my stairway. 22,000, 11,000 Starcrom. Actually, I think it was 10,000 Starcrom. I don't know what 21,000 did to get kicked out of the band. But it is also with the controller. If you have 0, it makes no sense to play because you can get nothing without controller. This game system is made, play less content, pay more for skins, cash grabbing, that all. Okay. While the controller thing, the cash shop, cash grabbing has nothing to do with the video, I do like how this individual took the topic of the video, commented on it, and then led us to more conversations. Could we have a conversation about the controller thing? Yes, absolutely. It's a talking point. Could we have a conversation about the cash shop? Yes, absolutely. No problem. It's forcing people to keep playing the game instead of the old method, one login once every week just to get 4K Starcrom, then log off. Well, first of all, what you said isn't true because you couldn't log in, just do your 4K Starcrom and log off because you still have to do your seasonal goals. But then the problem is you log in, you do your purification, you get 2K Starcrom now instead of 4. You do your seasonal goals, you get about another 4. And then you run over to your smelter. You make a stack of, aluminum, tungsten. You make 5 stacks now that they made it easier to make. And you've maxed anyway. I mean, I'm not joking when I say it took me 3 hours. It's not an exaggeration. It only took me 3 hours to max my stairway. So now people are able to max their stairwell by not doing content. Last season, as we were finishing up Prime Wars, there were people that were struggling to fill that 100% bar. And I said, well, what's the point? Because you're going to get crates and not Starcrom. Terrible take. Okay. Changes will always happen, and sometimes those changes will make what you dedicated to not viable or full invested in something early on because it worked at lower levels, but once you hit endgame, it doesn't work. This is short-sighted thinking and elitism at its finest. Well, first of all, it's not elitism at its finest. And if it is, you're going to have to put like 10 more words. How was my take elitism at all? Because it wasn't. Unless you tell me how it was. And then terrible take is elitism, by the way. If you start your sentence with terrible take and then don't tell me why I'm elitist, well, that's elitist. But I'll break down some problems for you. If what you build into early doesn't work at late game, that's a game design problem. So fix what's broken. Make everything viable in its own way at late game. But your solution is to just let people meta switch? That sounds like letting the developer off the hook because they gave you a solution to a problem that they themselves created. Like they don't have the foresight to think about how all of their weapons are going to perform at endgame. So it doesn't matter what you start at. As long as we let you switch to something else, it's okay. I think that's short-sighted, but I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. Tell me I'm wrong. With all that said, this is just a sampling. I just want to spark good conversation, right? I want to spark good conversation about what's wrong with games. And I think what's wrong with games is gamers. I think people coming to a YouTube video and leaving what ultimately amounts to as shitty comments that weren't well refined by a lot of people who probably didn't even watch the video, looked at the thumbnail, maybe read the video title, maybe read the video description, and then didn't watch the video, are leaving comments. And I know most of the people didn't watch the video because I can see where viewer retention is. So why leave comments on a YouTube video that you haven't watched? Because then where's the meaningful discussion? Meaningful discussions happen on my Twitch channel all the time. And I'm giving away these glass packs on the 4th of January, the 5th of January, and the 6th of January. So I'm going to put this into post-production. I'm going to get it put on the YouTubes. And then I'm going to be streaming today, tomorrow, and Monday. So if you want a chance to win one of these glass packs, swing by. I'll see you then.